Welcome to the Profit Talks podcast, hosted by the Orange County Inland Empire SBDC Network, funded in part by the U.S. Small Business Administration and the California Office of the Small Business Advocate. This show is the go-to resource for business owners seeking empowerment, education, and resources to succeed. Join us as we connect you with experts, share the triumphs of fellow entrepreneurs, and reveal the wealth of assistance available to you today to level up your business. So let's go. Let's dive in and learn more. One of the things I love about doing this show is the wide spectrum of people that we get to meet with the wildest dreams. The most imaginative things they're coming up with. And in all my wild imagination, I don't think I could have come up with what our guest came up with. Welcome, if you will, Aubrey Masters, who along with her husband, Brett, has created, I don't know, we'll find out, maybe there's more of these than I think, but a community coffee house, a nonprofit community coffee house in Lake Elsinore called Taza. Welcome to the show, Aubrey.
Thank you so much, Paul. It's great to be with you today.
Do you get that reaction? Coffee's hot, million coffee places, everybody wants coffee, but a nonprofit coffee house? Give me the idea and the genesis of that.
Sure. Yeah, it is a little bit different than your normal coffee shop, as it is a nonprofit. And it sounds new, but it's not new for us. We've been in the nonprofit world for a while now.
Okay. We're gonna go back and talk about some of that, your background and how you did that. Okay. Let's talk about the vision of this, why you wanted to create, you and your husband wanted to create and what is a nonprofit coffee house? I don't know. There's a lot of nonprofit coffee houses by accident, I'm sure. They don't work and there's no profit. But your intention is what?
Right. Our intention is that the profit from the coffee shop goes back into the community to redevelop Lake Elsinore and to bring it up. So Lake Elsinore is a wonderful community, but there are not places of a good, healthy gathering and connection where people can build relationships. So the purpose of this coffee shop, really in our hearts, was to create a bright and inviting space where people can experience rich connection over great coffee, while at the same time fostering the growth and the development of our community together.
I always say these podcasts are kind of that. They're a gathering place. They're an online campfire. That's the vision I have. We sit around and swap stories. And isn't this interesting? And then we share them with the world. The same, I'm Irish, so in the same way you go to Ireland, little pubs used to do that. It wasn't just a place to go drink. It was a place to gather after work and to connect and do this stuff and hang out and make friends and tell tall tales and all that kind of stuff. Coffee has filled that role here. The Starbucks, when that came along, that phenomenon, I couldn't believe it. People just didn't get the cup and go out. They stayed. Maybe it was a free workspace. Maybe it was a gathering place. Maybe it was a meeting place. Maybe it was just a hangout place. But that idea of using coffee or food or alcohol or something as a gathering, as a reason to gather, and by breaking bread together, somehow you do what? You create connections?
You do, yeah. It's kind of an amazing thing. There's actually a book, I have it right here, called The Great Good Place by Ray Oldenburg. Okay. And this was a lot of the inspiration for me. And it does just what you were talking about, like with Ireland with the pubs. Yeah. It becomes a place of connection. And so, people usually have three places in their lives. They have their homes, they have their workplaces, and then they have wherever it is that they build connection and community, that third place.
Could be a church, could be a baseball team, but someplace you go to build a tribe and a connection with people here.
Exactly. And so for, pubs have filled that role in a lot of history. You think about Cheers. What's the phrase? Like a place where everyone knows your name.
And everyone's glad you came.
Yes. So, I mean, people crave that sort of place where they can experience connection, where they can be seen, where they can have conversations about life and, think about all of the philosophers, the people who started the Enlightenment and the Awakenings. They were in. Oh my
goodness, we're going to go there. Now you're getting into, I'm going to use some of my college education here. We're going to talk about the Enlightenment and that. I
I
had a
just think it's fascinating how much of history, though, that things are fostered in cafes.
Yes, right. Oh,
Yeah,
always. The great writers in the 1920s would hang around the cafes, or the great artists and stuff here, the lost
yeah,
generation, the Hemingways and all that kind of people. Full disclosure, I had a bar and restaurant, an Irish pub we called Kelly McHugh's in Mission
right.
Viejo, the other side of the hill, for about 10 years. And we saw it as that place, like Cheers, like place. And what it was is instantly you felt welcome. Most places, a coffee shop, nobody knows my name. I walk in, I get something. Maybe after a while they recognize me and they say hi, but I don't feel a connection there. It isn't my place. And I was stunned how people, this was in a rather affluent area, and we thought it was more for like 30 somethings, but people who past the singles bars now wanted to maybe not drink as much and upscale. We were starting microbrewed beers and upscale tequilas and all that kind of stuff. You're going to drink less, you're going to drink better, and you're going to hang out for a little longer. It's not quite such a rushed experience. And it was supposed to be a place not just for guys, but for women and community kind of thing. And I was shocked at the age diversity. People in their I'm in my 60s now. People in their 60s and 70s would come in because they were alone. They're divorced, or they're widowed. And what are they going to do? Sit in their big house? They wanted to come to craved a connection in a community. And it was much more diverse than I thought. And people stayed much longer than I thought they would. It wasn't that they got drunk. They just hung around. And in fact, I'll tell you the weirdest example. Sorry, I'm giving a plug for my old bar here, but after 9/11, we shut down shortly after a couple of years. So after 9/11, the whole shopping center burned down. We didn't have enough money to rebuild. It was a sad story. But when 9/11 hit, we all felt, I didn't want to be at home. We're so shook up watching this crisis, buildings get hit and America get attacked. Inconceivable. And so I went down to the bar and I thought, well, it's going to be empty. It was packed. It was packed because nobody wanted to stay home. They wanted to get, when there's a crisis, a candlelight vigil, a church service, something once brings you out to connect with people. Like, I don't want to be alone in this moment. And I think that's what a good coffee house or bar or community center can be. That's your aspiration. All right, so how long has this been open? And then we'll talk about how you did it and why.
Yeah, we opened at the end of July last year of 2024.
And where is it? I don't really know Lake Elsinore. Is there a downtown or a spot, or is it Lake Elsinore? Just seems like I grew up in the Midwest, typical lake towns, lots of little cabins around the thing, lots of little fishing shops and bait shops and little mom and pop kind of shops, but no sort of community center. Is that true?
Well, so Lake Elsinore is very spread out.
Yeah, right.
But we do have a historic Main Street, and people usually,
I don't even know where that
past
is.
it on the freeway.
Yeah.
But it's a very cute little 1920s Main Street. It's got a ton of charm. The potential over the years has not been realized. But there's incredible potential. And now there's a lot of momentum on Main Street. We've gotten some good businesses who have come in and set up shop. And
is that where you are located? Is that where you're?
We're
okay.
Right on Main Street. So we actually have, I think, in my opinion, I'm a little biased, but the most beautiful corner. We actually own the space, our larger nonprofit. And so it made it a lot more plausible for us to be able to put in the coffee shop. But it's this beautiful building built in the 1920s. It's brick, and we actually pulled up the carpet and there was wood floors from the 1920s that we restored. There's
Love it.
Basement space, skylights.
There's a basement in California, much less around a lake. A basement? I wouldn't think there's a basement.
There's a basement. Yep. So there's on the sidewalk there are those glass skylights like what you would see in San Francisco or Seattle.
Right.
Looking down into the basement, bringing natural light. So just a ton of charm.
Oh, I got to go check this out just for that alone. All right. So you opened the door to the bigger question that everybody's asking. How can you afford to do this? What is it that gave you the gift to own buildings and build? You say you do lots of things. Tell us about the nonprofit, where it came from, how you fund this thing. Tell me all about it.
Yeah. Well, it's been a lot of hard work and a lot of perseverance over the years.
Okay.
That's what it takes.
As are all visions, right? All visions.
Yes, all of them. And it takes a lot of grit. But if you're willing to put in the work, you'll see the dividends, right?
Vision quest. I'm on a vision quest here. So how did you guys make a bunch of money and then retire and say we're going to give back, or is this we're going to start from the ground up and build this thing? Or I have no idea.
Yeah, we were a ground up sort of nonprofit. So My husband and I are actually both pastors, and we were pastoring in a church in our community, just on staff at that church. And we just felt a real burden for our community. We looked around and we saw people and properties that had just been abused and neglected, generational poverty, cycles
Yeah.
of abuse and addiction. And our hearts were just really broken. And
And that
you
seems to be I don't want to put Lake Elsinore down and get hate mail, but beautiful setting. You go over the mountains, spectacular view. As you said, is this the only or the largest
largest naturally
natural lake?
occurring freshwater lake. Yeah.
And I don't know why this isn't just the playground of Southern California where not just the wealthy, but everybody goes out and you boat and you fish and you hang out and you have a little camp, just like we did in the Midwest. That was everybody's dream, is to have a cabin or a place in the woods or up in the north. And yet generational poverty, problems with racial mixtures and all this stuff here. It just seemed like a poor kind of Hispanic community off in the distance there, and nobody ever really invested in it or developed it, certainly to its potential.
Right. Yeah. It has struggled over the years. And I have some beliefs about spiritually why that might be. I think the spiritual affects the physical, but there has been lots of hard things that have happened in the history of Lake Elsinore. Some hard anti-Semitism
Really?
lines
Really?
in Lake Elsinore. There's been some,
That I didn't know.
yeah, there was.
I know there's a large Hispanic that were kind of migrant worker kind of people. I don't know what they did out there, if there's farms or something out there. But I remember once, a million years ago, my wife and I looked out at Lake House and I thought, maybe we'll buy a house there. Wouldn't this be beautiful? And we'll be part of this Renaissance and revival. And they said, you're going to have kids? Oh, man, don't even think about it. The school system's awful. It's gang-filled. It's drug-filled. And I thought, okay, forget it. I'm not that much of a pioneer.
Yeah. Well, actually, the school district has gotten quite a bit better. We have some schools ranked really high in California.
Good.
I have my kids in the school district and have just had a great experience. But the city itself, over the generations, has really struggled. I'll say right now, Lake Elsinore is in a much better place than it has been. But like I said, there has just been generational kind of corruption and scandal and
poverty,
racial tension and
yes,
poverty,
right.
addiction, all that kind of stuff. So,
And the lake itself has gone through as you said, tell me that. You said it offline. It sort of would flood, then it would dry up. I mean, because it's a pretty shallow lake. Yeah.
It is a shallow lake. The problem is it's at the end of a long line of lakes, and so it has no natural outlet. And so all the water comes in and just kind of sits there in Lake Elsinore. And so it creates a lot of issues. The lake would flood and then it would dry up.
Algae
there would
blooms.
be algae blooms because it was shallow, because it'd get too hot.
Right.
The fish would die off because of the algae, and then it just smell like dead fish.
Yeah, right.
My husband remembers growing up and water skiing in Lake Elsinore and dodging dead fish.
Dodging dead fish. That kind of is a buzzkill. That doesn't make you want to come back again.
Yeah, but the city has done a lot of work to poured millions and millions of dollars into the lake, put aeration systems in the middle, built a levee system, built an outlet system, dredged the lake, all that kind of stuff.
Good.
So the lake is a lot healthier.
It's more alive, right? Yeah, it's more alive.
It is more alive. But in our opinion, there needs to be a social outlet for the city of Lake Elsinore. It's kind of what you see in the physical is mirrored in the
social and emotional. You say that so quickly, but that is the heart of every community. So yes. I could list other little towns because we had a couple other bars we built in other places, like in Chino and stuff. Some of these places have a vibrant connection to their past. They feel it might be a small group or in a small downtown, but it's alive, and others feel dead. The downtown is boarded up. Nobody goes there. Nobody remembers anything about it. And so their legacy, the history is lost, and it's just a bunch of commuters or whatever people that just come in and come out. There isn't any. That's the way I sense Lake Elsinore. You drive by, you drive through it. Yes. I don't go to it.
Yeah, that is exactly true. Yeah. So, a lot of people just kind of pay attention to the physical, but I'm a big believer that the social, emotional, spiritual is very key. And so we kind of felt like we needed to care for the heart and the spirit of our city. And just like, the city had to put in that natural outlet and dredge the lake and do these sorts of things, we felt like we needed to invest.
But why not focus? You're pastor, so I would think you'd put all your effort into a community church, into building that kind of a vibrant community within a church, and I'm sure you have. But why extend it out to a retail space?
Yeah, well, so we kind of have a little bit of a different view on the church. We feel like
okay. We're going to get into it. We talked about philosophy, and we talked about the Renaissance, and
can I talk about all of this here?
We're going to get very philosophical here. All right. So you're talking about emotional cores and centers of cities, and grounding, and the physical is a manifestation of the spiritual. So if this is an ugly, evil, hate-filled place, then gee, it's not going to be a nice place to live. And okay, all this I'm picking up a vibe here. All right. So why take the church out to the community here?
Yeah, so there's been a model in the Western church that it's a attractional Sunday morning centric kind of, right, we go to church. That's like church is 1.5 hours on a Sunday morning,
but then we leave.
And nothing ever changes in our cities. And let me say, I don't want to hate on the church. I think that a lot of great things happen.
I'm a good Irish Catholic. That's been the model. You go, the bell rings, the faithful come, we go, we pray, and on the way out, we flip each other the bird and cut each other off, and get out of my way. I got to get to lunch. I got to get home.
Right. Yeah. So it becomes an experience, and people in the churches become spectators, and we're not hugely impactful in our communities. And so we just felt like we wanted to be the church. We wanted to practice what we preached, and that us going out and helping people who are hungry get food, helping kids who are aimless find purpose, helping to develop a community gathering space, that all of these things for us were being the church. That's what it meant to be the church. And so that was kind of our conviction with everything that we did. So we have a Sunday morning gathering. Like a typical church, we actually didn't start that until 7 years in, because we just felt like we wanted people to redefine what it meant, the word church meant, and we wanted to be of service.
You're on a hot topic because here I belong to the oldest of the main line churches. It once was fed all the Christian churches, Catholicism, and then bit by bit, the Reformation and Protestantism, and split, and the East and the West church. I mean, schisms and divisions and stuff. But it is still based on that model. Come. And then God is somewhere. He's on the hill. He's in the tallest steeple in town here. And you go and you worship and you gather, and then you go back to kind of the real world. You go up to the mountain and then you come back down. Maybe you carry some of this with you. And that model ain't working anymore. My daughter doesn't go to church. Most of these people I know don't go to church. Any church, not just the mainstream church. They probably hit the hardest. Lutherans, Catholics, Episcopalians, they've seen a decline in all their church attendance because it ain't working. That's just whatever it is, that idea, that model, go participate in a ceremony, and at one time the ceremony was meaningful and rich, and you listen to the word and you sing along and you hold hands and you feel good, but it didn't carry over, and that doesn't seem to sell anymore. Nobody's buying that model anymore here. So I don't know that they don't want to be spiritual, but they don't want to be churched. Yes,
that is true, and you see that in the postmodern Europe and Australia.
Tremendously.
That
last pope was all about that. Oh my God, we got to stop the decline of this postmodern church here. We're going to be left with a bunch of old people and nobody else left here.
Right. So instead of focusing on the decline, for us, we wanted to focus on, well, what do we do from here? If personally we believe that, Jesus brings life to us, and we want other people to experience that life, we can't just sit back saying this doesn't work. We got to go forward and say what does work.
For a long time, this is another strange, I'm going all over the place. We're going to get back to your story, but we had a guy in here who was a retired Episcopalian priest. And as such, he was allowed to do things to make money, I guess, to supplement his income. So he was kind of a sales coach and a consultant. By day, he's still an Episcopalian priest, but somehow he was, and he pitched this as, I really am trying to get out into the world of business and get where people are. So in a very subtle way, I'm still trying to be spiritual and influence people, but not overtly. I don't wear a collar and say, all right, everybody gather and get on your knees. And
Sure.
so he was taken to a church, all these old, he's an Episcopalian priest, so all these, they're allowed to be married, not like the Catholic priest, he has a family and everything. And they shipped him to some famous Episcopalian church up in, right where we had the fires, Pacific Palisades and Brentwood and all that. Very affluent area. Episcopalian, this has been a historic kind of place where Episcopalians gather. They're the upper crust old Protestant elites and stuff. And the church is dying, empty half the time. So they sent him up and said, what would you do to fix this? And he said, maybe that's the wrong question. You're asking me what I would do to bring people into the church. Maybe we should take the church into the community. Exactly what you're talking about. Exactly.
Yeah, that's actually, you could take the words right out of my mouth. We realize that, we say this all the time, that people, no matter how many great programs we had in our churches, we're not going to come through the doors of our church. So we needed to bring the church to their door.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we believe that Jesus is the hope of the world, and that he can transform your life. And we want people to experience real relationship with God. And so then we got to build relationship, and we got to be out and go where people are.
And not just relationships with God, who I maybe can feel or see or believe. I don't know how many people even feel that connection anymore. I do, but I'm not sure everybody else does, and a lot of other young people do. But a connection to my community. Am I connected to this place? Does this mean anything to me here? Do I feel any obligation to help anybody? Or do I just drive into my house, put the garage door down, live in my little world, and then drive back out? It's just a place to plant myself.
Exactly. Yep. So we want to connect people to relationship. We've actually, I mean, this is an impoverished community. Right. And really what we found over the years is that poverty is it's not really the lack of things. It's not the lack of a job or, a house, but it's the lack of healthy and helpful relationships.
Positive relationships, not gang relationships, not broken family relationships, not I hate you and you hate me kind of relationships. Yeah.
You hit the nail on the head, because a lot of people in our community, they don't just have not healthy relationships, they have negative relationships. And so it's like, the crabs pulling each other back into the boiling water in the pot.
Think of that image for a minute, folks. That is what they do when you watch a pot of boiling crabs.
So people just get pulled back into the mess, back into the addiction, back into those dysfunctional systems,
racism, hatred, whatever, abuse,
mindset, all of that. So you can't get ahead, and if you start to get ahead, then you're going to get pulled back down. So what we want to do is we want to bring positive, healthy relationship to our community, where we come alongside people, we can look them in the eye, and we can say, you were made with a plan and a purpose. You matter. If you can still fog a mirror, then you can dream and you can walk forward, right?
And I care about you.
Yes.
I hope you care about me. We care about each other. We care about the community. All right. So what happens at a community coffee house other than that? Do people just go in and order a latte and an expensive coffee and then they leave? And
well, so I mean, you do have the daily customers that come in, and for my opinion on that is that we get to have daily touches where we, show people that they're loved and seen, and we remember, try to remember their names, and
coffee with coffee with some care here. Okay.
And make them feel special. But we do a lot more to help to develop community in that space. So we do lots of events, lots of gatherings.
Books or art or just, I don't know, plays, or I don't know, what do you do in a coffee house there, right?
So we'll have story time for the kids during the week, and so all the parents and kids come out, and it's a lot of fun. We have music nights on the weekends, and then during the week we do an open mic night, which is fun, and that brings a lot of good gathering of people. A lot of high schoolers actually like that one.
It's funny because my daughter adores the show Friends. She's now 30. And she just grew up. That was their iconic show. You talked about Cheers. That was probably more I was in the 80s. That's when I was, young and building a family or whatever. What's all based around? If they're not there, the only other scene is they're at that coffee house, whatever it's called.
Central Perk.
Central Perk. Everybody knows it but me. And she has the gear, and that's a mythical place she wishes she could find.
Yes, exactly. So people want that kind of space. You're right. That is the modern Cheers.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so we want to facilitate times where people can create connection where maybe they would feel hesitant to otherwise.
Hmm.
So like we just started trivia nights, which have been a
Trivia night.
ton of fun. Yeah, right. Usually those are in a bar, but we started
Yeah.
doing them here, and it's a lot of fun. And you see people at the beginning, they walk in and maybe they're a little shy, they don't know each other, but by the end, they're laughing
Yeah.
and talking and having a
Shared
great time.
experience. That's how you make friends. Shared experience.
Yes.
You do stuff
Yep.
together. You're in the army together. You're in school together. You're in a church together. You're in the little league together. That's how you build and bond with people. Shared experience. I'm convinced of that. You're giving them shared
Yes.
experience. All right. So
Exactly.
how's it been going? Is it breaking even? Is it making money? Is it doing good things?
Yeah, well, we've just gotten to the place where we've started to break even, and we're very excited about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, trust me, that takes a
So,
while to get there. Yeah.
yeah, so thankfully, it's felt like a blessing to be able to have the larger nonprofit that we're a part of.
Hmm.
And so we have all sorts of funding sources that we have for Dream Center.
And do you get grants for this, or is it all just individual donations for your dream center? For
We
your
have some grants, but our bread and butter, the foundation of everything is individual donors,
Mhm.
like especially monthly donors who come alongside who see this as just kind of like a community outreach, community
And is
development that
this
they give
just,
to.
I'm assuming you're all good Christians. Is this just Christians supporting, sort of giving back, tithing and giving into this, or is this just everybody? No, I just believe. I'm a Muslim. I'm a Hindu. I don't care what it is. I just believe in the vision of the Dream Center here.
We actually do have quite a good mix of people. I would say the bulk of people are Christians, but not everyone. We have lots of people who are just like, man, you guys are doing something in our community. It's
Love it.
inspiring, and so I want to give to it. And so we have lots of those people as well.
Good for you. All right. So, and what other kinds of projects do you do at the Dream Center?
Yeah, so we're out in our community every week. It's called Adopt a Block, Find a Need and Fill It, Find a Hurt and Heal It. So we're
Whoa,
playing with
whoa,
kids.
say that much slower here. You threw that. That's too good to just throw it out here. What was it? Adopt
It
a
is pretty
block?
good. Adopt a Block. Actually, if people are familiar with the Dream Center in Los Angeles, we learned this from them.
Didn't know.
And
Yeah.
yeah, you look it up, it's amazing. But
Okay.
we caught the vision from them. But Adopt a Block, find a need and fill it, find a hurt and heal it.
Wow.
So whatever your city's needs and hurts are, Adopt a Block is
I,
applicable
I have a
there.
tendency to ask my grandkids whenever I see them, what did you do today? What did you learn today? I want it to be ground, not just to let life slide by. Folk, what happened today? I'm going to ask that. Did you adopt a block? Did you find a need and fill it? Did you find a hurt and heal it? Wow. If I could, that's a bigger aspiration than did you learn something or did you, I don't know,
Right.
make
It's a
something?
pretty good one. Yeah. Well, we don't want to come in. A lot of people serving is about making them feel good
Yeah.
about themselves. And I mean, serving does make you feel good, and that's not bad. But we don't want to just come in and serve for us. We want to meet the actual needs, felt needs in the community. And so
And
for
more of a
us,
lasting impact, not just I came in, I gave you a meal, I felt good. You went home not hungry today, but nothing changed
yeah,
for you or for
serving
me.
to solve, not just to serve. So
Serving to solve. Wow, you're filled with them here today. Here, all right. So the Dream
we've been
Center,
doing this for a while.
the Dream Center. You got all these catchphrases here. So how do they reach the Dream Center if they want to participate, if they want to join, if they want to become part of this vision that you're on, this vision quest?
Yeah, you can find us.
I know that's a Native American thing here, but that kind of fits the same division quest. I'm trying to find myself here. Yeah.
Yes, I mean, you can find us on all the socials, Dream Center Lake Elsinore, and on our website, dreamcenterle.org. And then you can find the coffee shop from our website too, but
And
the
it's
coffee shop
spell
also
it.
has its own
And
website.
what does Lataza mean? The something. What is in
It
Spanish?
means the cup, like the mug.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, so
The
we want
vessel. Oh, is this kind of that thing? I'm the vessel for something here. Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, it's just you think about sitting down with a cup of coffee across the table from someone. It kind of, gives you a picture of connection and community.
And
So,
so that's spelled Taza, La Taza, two words,
yeah,
The Cup Community Coffee House on Main Street in Lake Elsinore, which I didn't
yes.
even know there was one. I got to go find the Main Street and find the kind of connection to this community center here and the dream that you're building along with this center, the
Yeah.
Dream Center here. What an incredible story. Wow.
Mhm.
What would you say? I got to give a plug for the SBDC because you came in. What brought you into the SBDC and what did they do for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so I mean, my husband and I are pastors, and we're entrepreneurial, but we, are not
not a
business
business
owners.
degree here, yeah, not an accounting
Right.
background, right?
So, but we knew we had this vision. And so for us, we're like, let's find the people that can help make this vision a reality. And we were running into some puzzles. I remember like looking at some of the permitting process and
That's
the things that
horrible.
we needed. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I hate
Licensing,
it.
permitting, health
Yeah.
department,
Oh,
et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, it's
all
so
of that was
daunting.
just so much. I was like, I need a Sherpa,
Yeah,
someone who's done this before. And so we had heard of the SBDC, and there's the office in Temecula.
right.
And so I called them, and they set me up an appointment with Jay Alice. And
Jay,
we
shout out
sat
to
down.
Jay. We all love Jay. Jay is the guru. He is the Sherpa of Southern
Yes.
California restaurateurs. You want to, because he's been there and done that. He's been in the back of the house, been in the front of the house. We did an interview with him, full disclosure here, and he's just so vibrant and filled with helping, from food trucks to fancy restaurants. He can help you launch your path and your vision for free. It's just
Yeah.
they get funded by the SBA and all this other stuff.
Yeah, it's incredible. When I got hooked up with him and I was realizing everything that he knew, I was like, okay, we've found some gold here.
Yeah.
And so he just helped us. It was only a few conversations that we had with him, but he helped walk us through the things that we didn't know, and even asking the questions that we didn't know we needed to ask,
Yeah,
right?
you didn't know that you didn't know this. I
Right,
know everything.
exactly.
No, you don't even know about these hurdles, the ones ahead here. Yeah.
Yeah, so he gave us all that information. I remember when he was talking, I was just like typing so fast.
Nonstop,
There's
right.
so much stuff. And so he helped us really unlock a lot of those puzzles. And then we just went for it. And
Did they help you find the place, or did you already found it and somehow you bought it and through the funds you had through the nonprofit?
we had actually already purchased this building back in 2015, I believe. So it's
when everybody else wanted to tear it down, probably because it was old and it probably needed a lot of rehabbing. And
actually, yes, we knew of other people who were trying to buy it and wanted to tear it down. So we're we're very glad that we were able to purchase it.
yeah,
So it's actually our administrative headquarters for Dream Center that I'm sitting in is here, but then there's 6 storefronts on Main Street, also a part of this that we own. It's one big parcel.
any
So
other visions? What does Main Street have to look? What does a modern Main Street have to be? It used to be a barber shop. It used to be a coffee shop or a bar. You went and did something. It was something that you think of Mayberry. I grew up watching Andy Griffith in Mayberry. Where did he
mhm.
go? He went to the barber shop. They didn't have a
Yeah.
pub or a coffee shop for some reason, but usually in that kind of small town, there is some place you gather. A church.
Mhm.
There's a handful of these things that everybody sort of belongs to and goes to. What else is on your block, your Main Street, that you want to put into this series of shops here?
Well, yeah,
What
I
plays
mean,
off of coffee here?
yeah, we have lots of ideas of what we could do. Having a bookstore, gift
Bookstore.
shop would be fun. There's nothing down here where you can buy like Elsinore swag.
Mm.
So we'd love to do something like that. I mean, a bike shop where you can take bikes and go around Lake Elsinore. I'd love to have like an art gallery, things you can walk around Main Street and have some fun,
Yes.
right?
And it brings you back again to do it over and over again. And again, it's a shared experience. We're going to watch the art. We're going to ride a bike together. We're going to drink coffee. We're going to break
Yeah.
bread. How about a bakery or something, a little bakery type of thing?
Bakery would be great. We used to have a bakery down here. I'd love to have another one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The bakeries are
absolutely.
coming back, in the same way France had the little pastry shops and stuff where you got the baguette of bread and then you sat or the cheese or something.
Who doesn't want to sit and eat baked goods? Yeah,
I certainly do. I'm all for
I
it.
do,
You
right?
go to New Orleans, oh my God, that's all they do is it's that French, there's a little cafe and you get the fresh baked bread. My mouth's watering already. And you can sit there for
Uh-huh.
hours and break bread with people. Well,
Yes.
I'm glad that we broke bread with you this morning. We're a little over
Yes.
here, but what an incredibly powerful story. And I wish you all the best. Give us some websites again if people want to not just see it, but maybe ride along. You're leading in a direction. Maybe others want to follow. You're pastors. You're lighting the sheep. Lead us. Where do we
There
go?
you go. Yeah, so Latassa Community, or sorry, LatassaCoffeehouse.org is our website.
Okay.
That's LATAZA. And then the Dream Center is dreamcenterle.org, and you can visit us those places. You can visit us on socials. We'd love to connect with you. And I just want to give a Another shout out to the SBDC. They also did our grand opening just a few weeks ago, and they were professional and so helpful and did all the legwork for us. And we had an awesome grand opening. There were probably 75, 100 people that were there at that event.
There you go.
And
that's a good kickstart. Yeah.
It was a huge, huge thing. So really grateful for their support, and thanks for having me on here as well. It's a
we're
honor.
Grateful that you're out doing this kind of good work, finding a problem and healing it or something. And
find a need and fill it, find a hurt and heal it.
I love it. I won't forget that. Thank you so much for joining us. Aubrey Masters, along with her husband, Brett, a couple of pastors who've become entrepreneurial, bringing the church to the community, not just the community to the building. And in the process, hoping to revitalize, reconnect people in these spread out communities that have lost their way. I could come up with lots of metaphors, but you're doing great work. You're doing God's work. Good luck. And keep it up here. Thanks for joining us here. All right, folks, that's another example of why we tune in each and every time. Stick with us and come back again. As we conclude another episode of the Prophet Talks podcast, we hope we've empowered your entrepreneurial spirit. Reach out to us to connect with our experts, and let's take your business to the next level. Keep those dreams alive, keep pushing forward, and stay tuned for more. And if you liked what you heard in today's podcast and you want your business to reach new heights, just contact us at prophettalkspodcast.org or call us at 1-800-616-7232. That's 1-800-616-7232. So until next time, keep thriving.